morning and welcome to Indiana SRN. The Sports Zone is moments away, but let me share several ways that you can follow us. On Twitter, at IndianaSRN. Subscribe to our YouTube page, IndianaSRN. Follow Keith Myers on Twitter, at Coach IndianaSRN, or our Facebook, Indiana Sports Radio Network. Email us at coach@indianasrn.org. Please feel free to comment about the show. Now, let's join today's Sports Zone.
It is the Sports Zone on Indiana SRN. I think I got this guy out of the shower early this morning. It's like 11:30, 12:15, and you're just now taking a shower?
Yeah, no, not really, but
okay, all right. Well, I'm glad you're nice and clean. Rob Couch joins us. Rob and I have gone back in the day. Rob was a young official trying to break in the AAU market, and a great veteran called Keith Myers helped him in his career. Rob spent many times in Keith Myers' swimming pool at 4 a.m. in the morning and eating nachos and Pepsi during AAU games all over the state of Indiana. I'm sure you remember those days.
Man, who would forget those AAU days? I mean, those were some good times, man. That's when it all starts as far as officiating is concerned, is the AAU circuit. So yeah, those were some good times.
Those are games where you worked 12 to 14 games a day. You jumped in a swimming pool. You had a beverage, and then you were going home. Or most of the time, you guys just slept on my deck.
Yeah, you jump in a swimming pool and hope you don't cramp up.
Yeah, exactly right.
But yeah, those were some good times.
You talk about those days, and now that you have progressed in your career with the Indiana High School Athletic Association, doing some big-time college games, what do you tell the young officials that maybe not want to do that circuit? Isn't that still a necessary factor to get you the experience that you may need? Because I think one of the things that we taught those officials back then, and what I still tell young officials today, you do those games because there's some situations that can occur in a big-time game that that you'll now know how to put out a fire.
Yeah, Keith, that's a good question for starters, and I'm actually mentoring two young men right now, and one of the things that not only do I tell them, but I tell every new official that's coming in, or every official every potential official that is looking at getting into the IHSAA officiating circuit. A lot of guys, they want to come in and they want to immediately work that big game, and that's definitely not the right approach to officiating. I tell guys, work that first year, work 50 middle school games if you can, or 50 freshman games, and mix in some JV stuff, and have veteran officials come and watch you work. When I first got into it, I had guys like you, and I'm sure these guys won't mind me mentioning their names, but guys that were, you could possibly say the kings of officiating, with guys like Ray Tebby and Bob Anderson, and then another guy that really kind of pointed me in the direction that I went with officiating, Greg Bowman. And, those guys were telling me the same thing, work, a million freshman games, work a bunch of JV games. And then when you're ready, you'll know you're ready. And I'll be honest, even when I thought I was ready, I was scared to death.
Well,
and so...
Yeah, you talk about that. I grew, as I started officiating, there was a Phil Myers, no relation, a Jim Fish, a Don Nestor, Those guys who worked at AAU, not only AAU ball, but then also, you had Don Nestor and Jim Fish, who back in those days ran the CYO league. And, I still remember the day when I worked a 5th and 6th grade championship game. Don Nestor came to me at the age of 17 and said, "Hey, you're pretty good. Can you do this, this, and this?" And then all of a sudden I hook up with some people. I took a test. I remember my first varsity game at 18 years old. It was way over my head, but those were my mentors. And all of a sudden you start learning, and I did that for 25 years and did very well at officiating those games, got to do college basketball. I can still remember today that Patty Broderick comes down from Buff High School. I'm doing a varsity basketball game. Her daughter's playing. She goes into the locker room and she goes, "You need to do X, Y, Z. Here's my card. Come to my camp." And a year later, I'm working some college basketball. But that's after 5 years of CYO basketball, freshman basketball, and JV basketball.
When I first started officiating back in I think 1989, 1990, I remember working CYO games, and I was making signals that I was giving signals to the table that I don't think have ever existed. When I would call something, I was just pulling stuff out of the hat, man. And and now I think back on that, I get a chuckle out of it. As far as how far I've come and everything. And I owe a lot. I owe so much to so many people, and first and foremost, the good Lord up above has always, when I had a door closed on me, he always opened up another one. Even when I wasn't walking the walk that I should have been walking, God was right there with me and held my hand and said, "I got you, man." I've fallen flat on my face so many times in my adult life and hurt so many people in my adult life that, but God was always right there. And in officiating, he's always been right there with me. And when I finally got my head screwed on straight and everything, not to jump around or bounce around or anything in this conversation, but, you talked about college basketball. I got linked in with some college basketball signers, and I went that route for a while. And yeah, I got to work a couple of D1 games, and I worked a lot of the NAIA Division II stuff and some Division III stuff, but I didn't. Just some poor decisions along the way just kind of kept me from moving on and into college ranks, and then but fortunately I was able to get it together at the high school level.
Right.
And when I finally got it together at the high school level, that's when everything started changing for me. And one of the things I try to tell the new guys that are coming in is just be patient, man, and listen to the veteran officials.
Yep.
The guys that have worked those multiple semi-state games, those guys that have worked multiple state final games, because they're not going to lie to you. They're going to tell you the truth. If they tell you that you need to change something or work on something to better your craft, then do it.
Brenda Hilton, Rob, she wrote a book, Behind the Stripes, Officiating is Human. One of the things that we have talked, her mission is restoring the respect of sports officials of all over the country. And Brenda has written this book that has been outstanding. I know the author, Brenda Hilton. She's from North Carolina. She does a great job of helping officials with training tapes and et cetera. Outstanding. I think if people learn that officials are human, and behind the stripes, we are a dad, we are a husband, we're a grandpa. In some cases, we could be the great grandpa. And those guys
Absolutely.
need to be respected. And we can learn. The thing I am learning, Rob, as a broadcaster, because now I have coached, I've officiated, I'm now a broadcaster. what I'm learning as a broadcaster is it is a lot of fun to go down before game time and get to know the officials. And I think if the fans would realize that they are human, they do put on socks just like we do, they do put on a shirt just like we do, they're good people, get to know those people.
Absolutely. And, one of the greatest things that when I do finally decide to hang up the whistle, one of the greatest things that I will always keep with me and never let go of is the relationships that I've built over the years in officiating. And it doesn't start with just other officials. Yes, you really build some strong friendships with officials, but it doesn't stop there. It goes on down to coaches. I mean, you build some great relationships with coaches, and then athletic directors, and then even the kids themselves, because eventually they're going to grow up. And I can't tell you how many times, I can't count on both of my hands how many times I've had a kid walk up, or an adult at this level, walk up to me and say, "You used to officiate my high school basketball games." and now he's married and got kids.
Yeah, it makes you feel really old.
And now there are varsity coaches.
Right.
It's Kenny Adams at Brebeuf, or not Brebeuf, I'm sorry, Park Tudor. I watched that kid grow up. I officiated his games at Cathedral High School. I officiated his games when he was playing college basketball, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Now I'm officiating his games as a head coach at Park Tudor High School. So, the relationships are so awesome. And that, for me, at the high school level, that is one of the greatest things about officiating is all the relationships that you build.
My best.
You never lose those. I mean, you take those with you. No matter what you're doing in life, you always take those with you.
You know who my best contacts is, don't you? It's not the athletic director, though I love my athletic directors. It's not my coaches, because I love my coaches. It's the concessionaire people, the popcorn guys, the nacho guys. That's who I get into, Hey, we got to take – that was a joke, Rob. You were supposed to laugh so I could take a joke. So.
I'm sorry, buddy.
That's okay.
It didn't click. Our connection is kind of hit and miss a little bit.
Yeah, sure, right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about memories. And I got a story about Rob that maybe he won't let me tell, or maybe he will. But we'll take a break. We'll be back right after this. Yeah, it's going to be a great one. We'll take a 2-minute break. We'll be back after this. Hey, everybody, it's Coach from IndianaSRN. Don't forget to listen to Sports Zone every day right here, 11 to 12 noon Eastern, IndianaSRN, where you're always in the game.
There's no greater anti-poverty measure than to give a person a job. That helps them start to change that trajectory. Thousands of people get jobs here from all of these diverse backgrounds. We're helping write that story of that better future that we know they can get, we know that they deserve.
Morales Group is a full-service staffing company that provides temporary labor in the Indianapolis, Central Indiana market.
Come talk to us. We would love to work with you.
So you called us because you're stressed from all that clutter taking up your space. The best part is we do all the heavy lifting for you, so you can just sit back and relax. Our hunks call at least 20 to 30 minutes prior to your appointment window. You don't need to lift a finger except to point what items you would like us to haul away. Thanks again for choosing College Hunks Hauling Junk, and we look forward to providing you with a stress-free hauling experience.
You're listening to IndianaSRN, God's Word 24/7, and sports.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Indiana, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who played high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. High school sports.
This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Craving comfort fresh food made from scratch daily? Check out Aspen Creek Grill. Located across from Hamilton Town Center and beside the Holiday Inn, we offer family farm-raised premium Black Agnes steaks hand-cut daily, creamy pastas, salmon chicken, and fall-off-the-bone ribs. Start with our famous powwow shrimp appetizer, and don't miss our refreshing drinks. Family-friendly or a great night out with friends. Aspen Creek Grill. Aspen Creek Grill, Noblesville. Call 317-559-3300.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, home for God's Word 24/7 and sports. It is the Sports Zone. Joining us is Rob Couch. He is a good basketball official, good friend, and it's been a long time since we've seen each other. And I think the last time I saw you was we were doing a game either at Buff or Guerin Catholic, and you were the referee, and you warned me not to say anything too mean on the broadcast.
I do remember that. Yes, I saw you sitting there, and I was like, Keith, you better not say anything negative about me.
You know, my favorite memory of all times is Larry Gwynn and I are working at Southport High School in AAU basketball. Larry and I are doing the 6th, 7th, and 8th game of the day. We are running an hour and a half behind. You're going to follow us. You're doing game, I think, 9, 10, and 11 with either Bowman or Kreider, and you're saying, why are you guys are late? And I said, watch this. We're going to get ahead of this game because I'm not going to blow my whistle. And Larry Gwynn and I never blew my whistle, and Larry Gwynn had to blow a whistle every single time in the game. But we caught up, and you guys got to go. Oh, you were only like 30 minutes behind. But I remember you walking. I'm walking off the floor with Larry Gwynn, and Larry looked at you, and he says, I would never work with him again. And Larry Gwynn, I think that's the last time me and Larry Gwynn worked together.
well, over the years, you never blew your whistle, so it wasn't anything different. Wasn't anything unusual.
Well, I've always told coaches, if I have to blow my whistle, the clock will stop, and then I have to work more.
That's good.
Talk about your favorite memory of all times as an official.
Oh, gosh, Keith. I hope he doesn't mind me telling this story, and I'm sure that there are probably officials that are going to hear this and be like, I don't know if I'd have handled it that way, Rob, but I'll tell you, there was several years ago, and I want to say it might have been back 2009, 2010. It was before he retired, because he retired in 2011. Myself, Greg Bowman, and Ken Washam were
I know this story.
Two great officials.
Yes.
Both state finals guys.
Right.
Matter of fact, Ken worked his first women's state final this year.
Mm-hmm.
But we were up at McCutcheon High School up in Lafayette, and Coach Peckinpah, of course, a great guy and a master at coaching high school basketball. And there was a call, and I can't remember exactly. It was in the second half that I do remember, and it was a big call. I can't remember who they were playing, but it was a really tight game. But it was a terrible call, and it went against McCutcheon, and our good friend Greg Bowman is the one that made the call. So Ken Washam and I just immediately lock eyes at one another, and you could tell that we both wanted to bust out laughing, but we couldn't. And everybody's booing Greg, and Greg comes up the court, and Coach Peckinpah is absolutely handing it to him. And Ken and I both just kind of stood there, and we're just letting it happen. And Greg stood there, and he took it. But later on, it was probably about 5 or 6 minutes later, I'm table side, and I'm right in front of Coach Peckinpah, and he gets up, and he says, "Daggone it, Rob, will you rotate to get him over here?" And I looked at him, and I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because I want to apologize to Greg." And I said, "Coach, there's absolutely no way I'm getting Bowman over here." And he goes, "Why?" And I said, "Because that was the funniest freaking thing I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen a coach ever rip him like you just did. And I'm leaving it alone." That was fantastic. Yeah. And we just started laughing. And that's just one. That's a fun memory. And I could go into hundreds of memories, man.
Yep.
That's one that kind of stands out. There's so many good times of it. The greatest thing about officiating, well, back in the day, now you have assigners that have kind of, the road trips with all three of you in the car at the same time
stories
are few and far between.
Yep.
And, I mean, don't get me wrong, you're still going out there and meeting up with guys that are excellent officials, but those road trips are few and far between. So, you don't get those as much as you used to.
Yep. My fondest memory is Greg Bowman took me to the Wigwam and introduced me to Ron Heklinski. Ron Heklinski and I are friends today, but boy, oh boy, oh boy, I would never. Fun city then. Let's talk about your quiz. Are you ready?
My quiz?
Yeah, this is your quiz. You ready for your quiz?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Would you rather watch Gilligan's Island or Andy Griffith?
Andy Griffith.
Okay. It took you a while. You sure now? Burger King or Taco Bell?
Taco Bell.
How about Barney Fife for the day or Gomer Pyle?
Barney Fife.
A good movie or a great book?
A good movie.
Email or text?
Text.
Last one. Popcorn or pretzels?
Pretzels.
Okay. Good. See, you passed. Rob, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, Keith. I appreciate it, brother. God bless.
You bet. That wraps it up for us. Well, that wraps it up for us another day. Thanks very much for joining us. If you have any questions about Indiana SRN, you can contact us at indianasrn.org. On behalf of Jerry Collins and the whole entire SRN crew, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow at 11 o'clock right here on Indiana SRN. Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game. Goodbye, everybody. Hey, everybody, it's Coach from Indiana SRN. Don't forget to listen to Sports Zone every day right here, 11 to 12 noon Eastern. Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game.
It's the Sports Zone with Keith Myers and the Indiana SRN sports team. Made possible by Morales Group, College Hunks and Movers, the IHSAA, and Aspen Creek Grill. Now, let's join Keith and his guests.
Well, good morning. It is the Sports Zone on Indiana SRN. Thank you very much for joining us. Joining us on the hotline, a good friend of ours, youth pastor for a long, long time, went to St. Kitts as a missionary stint, went to Montgomery, North Montgomery, is that correct?
South Montgomery. We can't get those confused.
The South Montgomery. Okay. Went to South Montgomery way back in the 90s. Brandon Grayson joins us. And did you play basketball for South Montgomery?
No, I played basketball until my sophomore year, but then just focused on track and football. Track was the big thing. I had to give up a sport because I had to earn some money for a car. You know, once you turn 16, you want that car. Got me a 1968 Mustang that I started fixing up with my dad, so it was a good time.
Yeah, you need to got to get wheels when you're 16. I don't think 16-year-olds want to get wheels anymore. It's changed a little bit. I got a lot of high school people that are listening today, basketball players that probably don't have a car yet and they're 17 years old. So it has changed.
Well, I would say that might be true, but I would venture to say that there's a bunch of city folks that don't get their cars. Those people out there in farmland, we started driving when we were 14 years old.
Yeah, that tractor worked out handy. Talk a little bit about your transition at high school, go to college. I know you went to CCBCI. What got you involved in Christian education and college? And when did God change your heart, and when did you accept the Lord?
So I accepted the Lord when I was 5 years old. As far as walking with the Lord is a little bit different story. I ran track, and my big thing was hurdles. And so my senior year was one of those things where everyone's trying to figure out, hey, what am I going to do my senior year? And, you know, you're supposed to know what you're going to do with the rest of your life at 18, 17 years old. And I had a really good season. And my thing was at that point, hey, I didn't know where I was going to go to school. If I could get a scholarship somewhere, I wanted to go run still was my big thing. And I kind of thought, hey, if I make it to state and I do well, maybe I'll get a couple of scholarships or opportunities to run, I should say. And I did. My senior year, I got 17th in the state in hurdles and did really well. Just had an excellent season and had an opportunity to run at a couple schools. But at that point in time, I can't even explain it to this day. I just, the Lord really, pricked my heart about being at Bible college. And I just knew that if I went to a university somewhere else that wasn't maybe a Christian university, I would probably just fall back into same old habits of partying and other things that I had got into before my senior year. And when I really, started what I would say walking with the Lord and rededicating my life. And so that's it, man. I found the Bible college, and I thought, hey, I'm just going to go a couple years here to Bible college, and once I get my walk with Christ strong, then I'll go and to a quote-unquote real school, and I'll go maybe run and do something there. But obviously God had other plans, and the youth pastor came and other sports ministries and different things at Horizon and through the years. So
we met on a basketball floor. I do believe the men's basketball league is because you knew I officiated. Well, yeah. I made the attempt to officiate, and
that's key there. That's very key. As long as you try.
Yeah, we started the men's basketball league, and it got me stronger in my walk as I was the athletic director at that point. But talk a little bit about that men's league and how raw people came in, and we try to use that for the kingdom.
Yeah, it was crazy. I still love sports, right? Now I love them then. Now I'm into a lot of ninja stuff, building my stuff in my garage and all doing some competitions and stuff. But at that point in time, I was actually what started it was I was interning kind of right before I became a youth pastor, I believe. I started doing some open gyms, and when Circuit City was still in business, I was working there part-time as well. and we just had a lot of people come from Circuit City, me and some friends, and we used it as ministry. And some of the guys from Circuit City, and they came play ball. And then that just led into meeting you, a year or two after that. Hey, we should do this men's league. We got, other people coming, we're doing these things, playing other nights. And so that's kind of how it all started. And, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And all of a sudden, I think we had 8 teams. I can't remember, 8 to 10 teams max, I think it was. And from all over, different churches, some people not from church at all. And it was just a blast. And it really definitely brought out a lot of our trying, competitive attitudes.
And not only with players, but also officials.
Yeah, exactly. I remember you and Big Man Fitzwater, right? Going at it. And, oh, man. And Dax's team, I was always going at it with their big guy and stuff. And, oh, man, it humbles you a lot to realize my attitude, right, of something so silly as sports. I totally believe that having a competitive drive is an amazing thing, and God wants you to use it. I don't think it's wrong. I don't think we should teach our kids to not want to win, right? We just need to teach them how to lose in that sense, right? Because we fail in life all the time, and bad things happen to good people. Good things happen to bad people, quote unquote. And the reality is we got to deal with that. But that drive of being competitive, I think God uses that in men and women, boys and girls, and we shouldn't stifle that.
And that led you to coach junior high basketball for me. And then one year you got to coach varsity basketball as our season began to develop. And you touched a lot of young people's life. And Debbie and I talked about this the other day I remember the first warm-up jersey. Every single player had a name of God on the back of their shirt.
Yeah.
And to this day, I don't know where they are. They're probably in St. Kitts because we sent you as a missionary, but those names, but those kids had developed. And, the tough thing, Brandon, or the neat thing that we look back is some of those kids that gave us fits are now in the pulpit. They are great men of God, and when hard times came for our family, those people were the first one to reach out, and that's just a blessing because sometimes we don't see that raw egg, so to speak, to turn out to be a great fried egg for Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm. No, that's true. I mean, and all we can do is do what we're supposed to do, right? As a human being, as a coach, for us as Christians, right, we're called to pour into others and love others, right? And one of my friends, not to get political at all, but one of my friends, he started making shirts and hats instead of saying make America great again. He said, make others great again. And he started selling them because, that's the focus, right? In a lot of ways in life. And it's great when we pour into people, how God uses that. And then they, multiply out and produce like kind, right? And it doesn't always work that way, but it doesn't mean that we regret anything we did. We did what we were supposed to do, but people have choices to make in life, right? And we do our best to pour into them and be there for them in the seasons of life that we can. And really the rest is up to the Lord, and then, the choices they choose to make.
We're going to take a 2-minute break. When we come back, we have a lot more with Brandon Grayson, and you are listening to the Sports Zone on IndianaSRN, where you're always in the game.
There's no greater anti-poverty measure than to give a person a job that helps them start to change that trajectory. Thousands of people get jobs here from all of these diverse backgrounds. We're helping write that story of that better future that we know they can get, we know that they deserve.
Morales Group is a full-service staffing company that provides temporary labor in the Indianapolis, Central Indiana market.
Come talk to us. We would love to work with you.
So you called us because you're stressed from all that clutter taking up your space. The best part is we do all the heavy lifting for you, so you can just sit back and relax. Our hunks call at least 20 to 30 minutes prior to your appointment window. You don't need to lift a finger except to point what items you would like us to haul away. Thanks again for choosing College Hunks Hauling Junk, and we look forward to providing you with a stress-free hauling experience.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, God's Word 24/7,
and sports.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Indiana, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who played high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. High school sports.
This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Craving comfort fresh food made from scratch daily? Check out Aspen Creek Grill. Located across from Hamilton Town Center and beside the Holiday Inn, we offer family farm-raised premium black Agnes steaks hand-cut daily, creamy pastas, salmon chicken, and fall-off-the-bone ribs. Start with our famous powwow shrimp appetizer and don't miss our refreshing drinks. Family-friendly or a great night out with friends. Aspen Creek Grill. Aspen Creek Grill, Noblesville. Call 317-559-3300.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, home for God's Word 24/7 and sports.
Back on the Sports Zone on Indiana SRN. Thank you very much for joining us. On our hotline is Brandon Grayson. What is your title at Horizon?
Oh, my title at Horizon is just simple volunteer, man. I volunteer my time, and then I do a little part-time gig with my father-in-law as we're just kind of navigating, coming off the mission field, and what's next for us in our life right now.
Yeah, the cool thing is you're waiting, and that's pretty cool. Talk a little bit about your history with athletics, and now that Indiana SRN. I know you watched some of our broadcasts and you listened to some of our broadcasts. What is your take on how sports has just turned around, and how does internet sports with the webcast that we do affect your ministry, if any?
I would simply just say, I mean, as far as the internet in general, being able to have an instant connection, right? I mean, somebody across the world could be watching or choose to watch, right? Some high school or whatever it would be show in America or whatever it would be. And so I just think that's an amazing thing. Someone could go on vacation, right? And like, I'm going to miss, my grandson's game or whatever it would be. And they made the tournament or whatever it would be, and it wasn't foreseen or something. And they booked a cruise, right? They could jump on and be able to watch that and see that maybe where before that was just, you only be able to do that for pro things, right? Or if someone brought their big old, camcorder or something to the game, and then you could watch it later, but you could actually, watch a lot of things live and so forth, so on. So I think that's an amazing opportunity for anyone who loves sports, especially in particular at a high school level where there would be people maybe that don't get, the coverage because maybe they're not the top 50 on ESPN or something of that nature. So for me, I just enjoy that, being able to kind of click online or see something every once in a while. Oh, what's going on with these guys? Or check some school scores or highlights or whatever it would be. And that's just always nice to have, instead of back in the day, you'd read it in the newspaper, you know what I mean? So I can actually see it a little bit live or highlights online.
As you go through this time, I know that you've been in quarantine along with your family, as long as and everybody else. What would be the message out there when we get back to normalcy? I don't know what that will look like anymore, but what would your goal or what would your inspiration of telling people that are listening today? What would be a priority that you would want them to set?
Oh man. There's a lot of unknown. And I think, when we have something unknown, it is very fearful, right? And it's like, when are we going to get back? How are we going to get back? Am I going to have a job? Am I going to have a house? And we have a billion questions that are all legitimate questions, right? But just can't be answered. And I was reading the other day that just in our own state, the numbers for the suicide hotline, they usually have, it might even been for our county, I can't remember now. I don't want to misquote it. You could look it up, but they usually had like 1,000 to 5,000 calls, right, that they were dealing with. And I can't remember if it was a day or per week or something, but they've been dealing with 25,000, five times the load that they've been dealing with. And so people are scared, right? And they don't know what's happening. And I would just, right now, as far as right now, I'd say, hey, it's okay, right, to be scared. But we keep pressing on with whatever. There's something more important out there. Number one, that's God and bringing him glory. But number two, and down the list, you have your family and you have your friends and you have life, right? Breath in your lungs to do something with. And so, once we get through this and we're on the other side, I think the biggest thing we can do, one, right, is give thanks to the Lord. But two, then actually physically be able to try to get back to some kind of normalcy with whatever the be, with the passions that you have, right? If it's sports, we're on a sports network, right? If it's sports, then get back to them,
right.
In whatever way, and bring other people with you. We've been missing community. So what a great opportunity once you get out there and you play ball or whatever, go meet some people you don't know and play ball with them, or invite people, or try a new sport, allow things to go back to some kind of normal, even if your job's not, even if, situations, you lost a family member and you're grieving, I know for me, when losing grandparents and other things, sports always has a big part to play in that. It's a big outlet for me. Even when I'm just hanging out with God. I remember in high school and even in Bible college, just going to the gym, hanging out with God. There's no one in there. I'm just shooting around and maybe I'm dealing with something. And, just that time to play some sports and release some energy and just pray and talk, whether it's by myself or, with people, whatever it would be. So that would be my encouragement, is get back to some kind of normalcy and get out there and continue to fight that good fight.
When I have that opportunity to do those things, I usually hit 10 out of 10 free throws, and no one can believe me that I could hit 10 out of 10 free throws. But, God,
exactly.
God sees it. But, it's the old wise tale that it was the perfect golf game I've ever done, but I did it on Sunday.
Exactly.
So,
and I've had that happen only with, in real life, no joke, with Frisbee golf, right? Disc golf, if anyone disc throwers out there. And I remember my first hole-in-one. I'm playing by myself. And I nail a hole-in-one, and I'm like, yeah. And I look around, like I'm looking for another human being that could at least hear me shout, so they know.
No one there.
Exactly. No one was there.
Hey, Brandon, thank you much for your time today. I know you're very busy. Thanks for getting up early and talking with us this morning. You have a great day. All right.
Hey, I appreciate you guys. You guys keep doing what you're doing, and bless you guys and the ministry and business you guys got.
I appreciate that. We'll take a break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to the Sports Zone on IndianaSRN. Today's games brought to you by Shin Technology Service Corporation. Technology is about humans and not about machines. Dave and his crew has provided 27 years of software needs. Give them a call. Shin Technology Service Corporation. You may reach him by phone at 317-545-3650 or shintechnology.com. For more information, contact Dave, 317-545-3650. Do you want to hear your favorite team on IndianaSRN.org? It's easy to do, calling all the play-by-play and colored commentary. High school sports along with youth sport, Mr. Wizard is waiting for your call. Contact him at 317-443-0052. We're ready for every touchdown, basket, and goal. Contact Mr. Wizard, 317-443-0052. You're listening to IndianaSRN, God's Word 24/7. And sports.
This is Andy Reid, the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. Sitting here in my basement getting my work done. We're doing our scheme evaluations and all our personnel work, getting ready for the draft. But I know you guys are working like crazy and having to stay at home and keeping social distancing going on with family and friends. And so, listen, my heart goes out to you. Keep staying positive. We're going to get through this thing. And then you're going to be able to get back to school and enjoy all your buddies and your teachers. So listen, work hard, do all your schoolwork. Don't get frustrated with mom and dad. They're trying to do the best for you, and make the best of this. Keep a positive attitude. Take care and go Chiefs.
Thanks to Ray Marketing for underwriting this sports program on IndianaSRN.org. You can contact Jess at 317-782-0904. Need a uniform, silk screening, even banners? Contact Ray. He's your man. Ray Marketing, 317-782-0904. Or online at raymarketing.com.
Just 2 years ago, internet radio seemed to be a mysterious phenomenon. It was available for use, but there wasn't much data. That has changed. Today, there is a growing body of information on internet radio. 7 out of 10 people ages 18 to 45 prefer to listen to internet radio than a terrestrial radio station. If you are interested in reaching this audience, email us at coach@IndianaSRN.org. We look forward to sharing our low rates with you and help to market your business. Contact us at coach@IndianaSRN.org.
You're listening to IndianaSRN.org. Back on the Sports Zone on Indiana SRN. With us now is the head coach of University Trailblazers, Brandon Lafferman. And not only do you coach basketball, but you do basketball for life, don't you?
I do. I've been involved in coaching and mentoring, teaching, and creating youth basketball programs for about the last 15 years now.
You kind of make obstacles courses for your kids to play in your home this time. And how's his time? Has his time improved since the first time he did the course?
Yeah, we're trying to have as much fun in my house right now as we can. I've got 3 kids, a baby that's 8 months old, and a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. So I was a PE teacher back in the day, and I'm kind of pulling back a lot of those ideas and things that I used to do and trying to keep my kids having fun and being a little crazy in my basement.
And they seem to enjoy it, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, they're I think my son definitely seems to be following in my footsteps of a sports lover. So anything I do that is competitive and keeps him moving, definitely he's enjoying, and his little sister is doing her best to keep up, and they're having a lot of fun with it for sure.
Let's talk a little bit about the basketball season. University had a great season, got cut short early, but talk a little bit about the kids. And I noticed a couple of your kids got a mention on the PAC conference all tournament team and all basketball team this year.
Yeah, we had a great season. I gotta honestly, this was my 7th year head coaching, and probably my favorite group of kids, senior wise, that I've had from the beginning to the end. They really are probably the reason I think that university basketball has turned into what it's turned into. When they came in as freshmen, the senior group specifically, we were starting to really kind of make a name for ourselves as a basketball program in Hamilton County and Indiana, and they really kind of took everything that I was teaching about culture and program real seriously, and their leadership really showed. And obviously, we had a great year. We won over 20 games. Our schedule was as tough as it's ever been, and bumping up into 2A was obviously a big challenge for us. So, the PAC conference all team came out last night, and we had 4 of our 5 starters, 2 make the first team, Joe Martin and Max Greenamoyer. Joe's actually going to go on to play at Wittenberg next year, and Max is going to Hanover. And then on the second team, we had Sam Mervis, who's been our point guard and kind of captain really for the last 3 years. He just announced that he is going to walk on at Indiana State, which is a giant accomplishment for him. And then Camden Brown, who's our only junior that was a starter, he made the second team as well, and he'll hopefully be a big part of what we have next year coming back.
Kind of cool. You look at that PAC conference, coach, and you look at Park Tudor that was in that conference, Greenwood Christian, who won a sectional, International School, who won a sectional, yourself. Central Christian has been good time in and time out. Bethesda, from top to bottom, that's been a pretty strong conference.
Yeah, it's been interesting since we got in. When we joined the conference, we were still 1A, and you had Liberty Christian and Seton Catholic, who are obviously solid programs too. they were both highly ranked in the state when we first joined. And since then, I feel like the conference has only really improved. We've gotten a lot better. And then obviously those teams you just mentioned, and GCA's been lights out the last few years and obviously had one of the best years in the whole state this year. And Park Tudor, adding them has been huge. I mean, they're always good. So yeah, I like where the conference is heading. And ISI, which you mentioned, I think they've had probably their best year they've ever had as a school basketball program.
Let's talk a little bit about what you do behind the scenes as well. As you work up at Grant Park, you put a lot of tournaments on as you work for the Pacers up there at Grant Park. How important is that to keep the youth sports going as soon as this academic gets done, of getting kids back involved in sports or exercise?
Yeah, it's a great comment question. I can't say I've ever experienced anything quite like this in our business since I got started with a company I started called Indiana Primetime Sports, which does youth basketball teams and training and a variety of other sports in addition to basketball. But and now we're up at the Pacers Athletic Center doing our stuff up there, and essentially, yeah, everything has kind of just stopped. Our business and a lot of others around the country are trying to figure out ways to stay connected with young athletes through the use of video technology and all kinds of stuff that we can do through social media and to stay connected and do at-home workouts. But there's definitely a big thing missing, which is, the social aspect of being together and playing. And obviously the biggest thing, it's impossible to compete on the court in real games. So the importance of it coming back, huge. The biggest question mark that everybody has right now is when that will be. And, one thing that's kind of neat, that's part of my job right now, is we're part of this flagship network through the junior NBA of some of the best youth basketball programs in the country. And so we get together with these guys on the phone a couple days a week, and they're all in the same boat that we're in. They're running youth basketball programming around the United States in different cities. And it's the same issue everywhere. When the big question of when is making it really tough to plan. But I think we know at some point we're going to play basketball again, and getting young athletes back out there, I don't think is going to be a problem. I think everybody's obviously itching to do it. We just have to be as safe as we can, and listen to what the government officials are telling us to do.
In that, in closing that segment up, I know what we do at IndianaSRN, and we would love to partner with you soon. And we talked about those things, but how important is what we do, bringing high school sports through the world, to the world, and then that extension onto youth sports, when grandma and grandpa or aunt and uncle or mom and dad can't watch those games?
Yeah, no, it's great. What you guys do and what a lot of us are trying to do and just promoting these high school athletes and helping them achieve their goals. I think that's the biggest thing at the high school level. And that obviously, I do that as a high school coach, and several other do around the state, except, and then in addition to that, you have this entire travel season, which a big part of that specifically for the high school guys is getting noticed by college coaches and trying to achieve their goals and dreams. And right now, a lot of that's been taken away. So anything that you guys can be doing now, it's huge. And then the other piece on the youth side, being able to stream and broadcast youth sports for those who can't watch them in person, it's becoming a bigger and bigger thing. And we've seen it in our building at the Pacers Athletic Center through just a little bit of streaming that we do through our basketball leagues. The amount of people around the country, like you said, grandparents who might not live here, dads and moms, when they travel for work, their ability to be able to still see and listen to their kids play is huge. Because I think anyone that has kids knows that, the last thing they ever want to have to be in a position is to miss their children play.
We talk about that, and we did, as we did the Cecina sectional. We also did the Lawrence sectional. We went down to Lutheran and did that sectional, went to Bethesda, did that sectional, and the overwhelming of a guy doing play-by-play, a guy doing color, and talking about Timmy exploded. And I don't know what the total count was, but I know thousands of people heard that and saw that, and that's been a blessing to us. And we want to thank you for allowing us to do what we do for your organization, and also with university. It's been a really win-win for everybody.
Yeah, no, I mean, we love it when we show up at a game on the road or in our own gym and see you guys there. We know that the coverage will be great, and it's going to reach a lot more people. And for us small schools, the 1A, 2A schools, I think that we're always looking for ways to publicize what we're doing in our programs. And, I'm obviously a big advocate that I think that the quality of basketball that we're playing at a Park Tudor, at a university, at a Greenwood Christian, it's super high level. You got great kids, you got great coaching, you got great culture and great systems. And a lot of times, we're not being as seen, which is understandable. But we appreciate what you guys do.
And your assistants always make fun of my ties, so that's always a good thing too. Hey, we're gonna take a 2-minute break. When we come back, I want to talk to you about your favorite memory of high school basketball. Can you do that?
Sounds
for me?
great.
All right.
Absolutely.
We'll take this 2-minute break. We'll come back. You're listening to the Sports Zone on Indiana SRN.
There's no greater anti-poverty measure than to give a person a job. That helps them start to change that trajectory. Thousands of people get jobs here from all of these diverse backgrounds. We're helping write that story of that better future that we know they can get, we know that they deserve.
Morales Group is a full-service staffing company that provides temporary labor in the Indianapolis, Central Indiana market.
Come talk to us. We would love to work with you.
So you called us because you're stressed from all that clutter taking up your space. The best part is we do all the heavy lifting for you, so you can just sit back and relax. Our hunks call at least 20 to 30 minutes prior to your appointment window. You don't need to lift a finger except to point what items you would like us to haul away. Thanks again for choosing College Hunks Hauling Junk, and we look forward to providing you with a stress-free hauling experience.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, God's Word 24/7, and sports.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Indiana, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who played high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. High school sports.
This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Craving comfort fresh food made from scratch daily? Check out Aspen Creek Grill. Located across from Hamilton Town Center and beside the Holiday Inn, we offer family farm-raised premium Black Agnes steaks hand-cut daily, creamy pastas, salmon chicken, and fall-off-the-bone ribs. Start with our famous powwow shrimp appetizer, and don't miss our refreshing drinks. Family-friendly or a great night out with friends. Aspen Creek Grill. Aspen Creek Grill, Noblesville. Call 317-559-3300.
Well, we thank you that you joined us today on the Sports Zone. Keith Myers here. Don't forget to join us tomorrow. Our guest tomorrow, Bobby Cox, and tomorrow's guest, Robert Falcons and Bobby Cox on the Indiana High School Athletic Association. Until tomorrow, we'll see you. Goodbye, everybody.
It's coming. It's coming. IPSathletics.tv. High school sports on the World Wide Web. Every big game on IPSathletics.tv. Football, volleyball, basketball, and much more. Coming this fall, IPSathletics.tv. Let the games begin.
It's been said the night is always